Hey, Word Up Wednesday friends. How are you today? It is a gorgeous day here in Louisiana on Wednesday. Definitely compared to last week when it was monsooning. So drop me a little line. Tell me about how you're doing over where you are. Um, Today's Word Up Wednesday is actually a continuation of last week. So if you did not tune into last week, you can go back on Becky Williams Full on Purpose on Facebook and find it. There's a folder there called Word Up Wednesday. So that should help you to find it. Today, I know a lot of ladies who do their weekly meetings or just weekly tips have a tea that they talk about. So I wanted to do that today in case I have any tea drinkers. I know in the afternoon, some people will drink coffee, but a lot of people will drink tea. So, oh, excuse my clock. It's deciding to go off now. So today is green tea kombucha. That's a fun word to say, right? It supports your overall health. It supplies antioxidants. It tastes awesome. I usually do two tea bags and two stevias or two Truvias, whatever you have on hand. So we ran out of coffee and we're trying to use everything up in our pantry before we go back to the store for like a big grocery haul. So this is what we ended up with. And I'm glad because I didn't realize how much I like green tea. So all right, so if you missed last week, oh, and also if you're on Instagram, go on over to Facebook. You're not going to see the whole thing on Instagram. They'll cut it off at 1 minute. So if you want to hear the whole episode today, you need to go over there. All right, so last week I introduced this book, Love for a Lifetime. And last week, the tips that I told you about. So these are marriage killers, just in case you're just tuning in. These are the 10 marriage killers. Okay, so these are things that we don't want to do. A lot of these things are things that my husband and I, when we were struggling, I'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes, when we were having a rough spot in our marriage, a lot of these things were things that both of us did. So I wanted to share that to maybe keep some of you guys from a pitfall. Also, I know it looks a little bit different right now. Welcome to my living room. The window in my office and prayer room in the front actually leaked. The seal did not seal all the way when we had a bad storm a couple months ago. And so we're having to get the floor replaced. So this is my new temporary office, hence the reason you are now in my living room. So welcome. Okay. So last week, the first thing I talked about was overcommitment and physical exhaustion. The next thing I talked about was excessive credit and conflict over how money was being spent. Selfishness, interference from in-laws, unrealistic expectations. That was the first 5. Today we're talking about the last 5. The first one is space invaders. Okay, no, I'm not talking about aliens. I'm talking about needing your own space. You are your own person. I talked about that last week. Somebody else is not supposed to complete you. Only God completes you, right? So you don't need to be with your spouse 24/7. And if you've ever dated anybody like that always needed to be with you, I know for me, that's stressful. Now, Ken and I love being with him all the time. Okay, there's usually not a time where I want to be separate from him. However, we do understand that each of us need our own space. So we do things with other people. I go out with the girls sometimes. Sometimes he'll take the kids out on dates, like a daddy-son date. And they'll take some time. Sometimes, I'll stay here and have time to myself. All those different kinds of things. All those things are important, and you have to build them in, especially if you have a close relationship. It's very easy to spend all of your time with them, but it does cause conflict, okay? So everyone needs breathing room. Also, jealousy. If your spouse is wanting to go spend time with other people, obviously not of the other sex, okay? But I'm talking about hang out with the guys. Our church does a burger club. Unfortunately, Ken hadn't been able to go the past couple times, but he is super excited about going next time. I am all for that. I want him to go and hang out with the guys, okay? He doesn't have to be with me for me to feel secure in our relationship. Also, low self-esteem. You don't want a spouse that you feel like you're always having to pull, always having to encourage, always having to lift up. And they don't want to feel that way about you either. That really causes stress in the relationship. You want to feel like you're both on the same level emotionally, in the same playing field. I hope that makes sense to you. So if you are struggling with self-esteem, do some self-development, do some prayer, get yourself plugged in to a group of ladies or gentlemen. I know I'm mostly speaking to you mamas out there. Find a friend who knows how to lift you up and work on that, okay? Also, love must be free and it must be confident. So if you are always insecure, let's say that when Ken goes out to be with the burger club and go with the guys, and I call him every couple of minutes, hey, are you there? Are you still at the burger place? Where are y'all going now? What you doing now? Who are you with? Anybody bringing their girlfriends? If you're like that, oh, that is so exhausting. Okay, it is exhausting and draining on you. It's exhausting and draining on them. Love is free. Okay, love is confident. So that's number 6, space invaders. You want to make sure everyone has their space and there's that trust. Okay, the next one is alcohol and substance abuse. I touched a little bit last week about Ken and I, that we had a little bit of a rough patch. If you'd like to hear about our testimony and about our struggle with addiction within our family, basically a 6-year addiction that we kept secret from everybody but our families. If you want to know more about that, please send me a private message. We've only talked about it one other time in public, in a public arena. We taught it in one of our classes that we did, but I'm not going to go into that here. If you are someone that you're struggling with, someone that you know is struggling with addiction, please reach out to us, okay? Hopefully we can give you some encouragement. But just know that these are killers. They're killers of your marriage, and they're killers of people, okay? I don't care if it is illegal type drugs. I don't care if it's prescription drugs that were given to you from a doctor that you believe are okay because the doctor gave you the prescription, and that you're taking more than you're supposed to. I don't care what the addiction is as far as substance abuse. It kills your marriage and it kills your family, and hopefully it doesn't kill your family members. Okay, thankfully through lots and lots and lots of prayer, our family is still together and everyone is still alive. So if you want to hear more about that story, please send me a private message and I'll be more than happy to share it with you as a one-on-one conversation. Number 8 is also about addiction, but it's about pornography, gambling, and other types of addictions. These are obvious things. Everybody knows that addictions are not something that is a good thing. We already know that. I'm not going to explain that to you, especially if you've had to deal with that type of stress and type of emotional time. You don't need me to drive that home for you. But I did want to talk about that everybody's personality is flawed, okay? So you may view someone who is addicted to painkillers or view someone who's spending their entire check on gambling, all of those types of things, and you just think, oh, look at them. I can't believe, they're addicts and all these other things. But guess what? Everybody is addicted to something, okay? And it may not be all the time. You may just have spurts of addiction. For me, I love to work. I work all the time. I have trouble cutting that off. And so that can become an addiction. Another thing that I like to think of is, what is your God? What is the thing that you are spending most of your time on? Is it your business? Is it your family? Is it yourself? Are you working out all the time and always working on your eating plans? Are you always working on what outfits you're going to wear and who has the next sale? And, if you have children that you like to, let's say they play sports and that's the most important thing to you, what are you spending most of your time on? Okay, that can become an addiction to you too. It doesn't have to be something that's deadly. Either way, it could kill your marriage. So I want you to keep that in mind. Anything that you are, and we talked about being balanced a couple tips ago, talking about having your time and what are you giving most of your time to. So even if it may not kill you physically, it may kill your marriage and your relationships. So just be careful with that. Very few people will walk away from these types of addictions without being affected. Satan wants you to be hooked on destructive behaviors. That's the easiest way, right? If you're going to destroy somebody, which is his ultimate goal, why not make them self-destruct? Okay, you call someone to be the addictive person, then you have someone who's going to enable them, like their family, because they love them. They don't know any better. Back to that book I told you about last week, Love Must Be Tough. It's a great book for you if you struggle with addiction, especially if you are an enabler like I was. Okay, it's very easy to get caught in that, especially if you don't know you're doing it. So go read that book. Send me a private message so that I can share our story with you too. Okay, so his goal is to go ahead, Satan's goal is to go ahead and get you all confused and you don't know which way is right, you don't know which way is wrong, and you eventually end up self-destructing. Okay, so stop that vicious cycle and get some help. All right, that's for all of you, not just the person with the actual addiction, because addiction is a family disease. Okay. Number 10 is business failure. This is when I want to show you another book that I suggest. This is called Wild at Heart. It's by John Eldredge, and this is a fabulous book. Ken read this book, and he really recommends it. This is talking about men and their desire to provide, their innate desire on how they are wired as men. There's a girl version of this called Captivating that I've read that's also very, very good. Okay, so if you need a little help understanding how your man is wired, this is a really good book to read. If your man is struggling with his position or his self-worth, anything like that, this is a great book. Okay, so business failure. This is especially hard on men because they want to be the providers for their family. Okay, anything, we talked about finances last week. Finances, whenever they're going wrong, is really a stressful time. Okay, because I mean, it is in your face. If you don't have enough money to pay the electric bill, the electricity goes off. Okay, it's very quickly correlated with how it's going to go on. Financial issues for men, typically when men get upset, they will be angry. When women get upset, typically we cry or we get emotional or sad or pull away. So when there's business failure, especially for men, they feel less than, they feel inferior, they feel like they failed, all those kind of things. So learn how to, as a wife, learn how to, or as a spouse, learn how to support the other person. This book for women only. There's also one called for men only. This is an awesome, awesome book too. If you are a strong personality like I am, and you like to take charge of things, especially if it's not necessarily a bad thing. So especially if you feel like your family needs to go a certain way financially, your family needs to go a certain way for businesses. I know as a mompreneur, I have to be in charge of that. This is my business, and Ken's involved in it too. But ultimately, I'm the one who started it. So I have to be that driving force and continue and focus and all that kind of thing. You have to be careful not to plow over each other. Okay. He can't be overbearing on me. I can't be overbearing on him. Remember, marriage is not a 50-50. You give 100% to each of you. Okay. You give 90 and you expect 10. All right. And then the very last one, and we are done already again, is business success. Just as bad as if your business has failed and you feel like a failure, business success can also be bad too, because if you are a dominant personality and you see that success and you see your goals crossing that finish line, you want more, right? And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can be if you are not balanced, okay? A writer of Proverbs says, "Give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me only my daily bread." Okay, that's the NIV version. It's verse 30, chapter 30, verse 8. Okay, people can often become drunk with power and have a lust for more. Okay, wives and children are forgotten in the process. But since I'm mostly speaking to mamas and mompreneurs and moms that work outside the home, also stay-at-home moms, your husband and your children can be forgotten too. And I know that there is a beautiful dance between motherhood and being a wife and running your business. So just know that you need to keep balance in all of these. So hopefully this has helped you some today. I'm curious to know what you would like to hear a Word Up Wednesday episode about. So if you would please send me an email at fullonpurpose@gmail.com or send me a Facebook message. I would love to know what it is that you want to know about. So just send me a message. I won't tell, whenever I do the episodes, I won't say who submitted the information. I will just go ahead and do an episode on it. So I hope today's been helpful. Enjoy your week, and God bless.